What if I told you that in 1935, a man checked into a Kansas City hotel room and 3 days later, he was found brutally murdered, stabbed, tortured, his skull fractured. Yet he had spent those entire 3 days locked inside, ordering no food, accepting no service, and speaking to mysterious voices through the door? And what if I told you that to this very day, despite one of the most intensive investigations in FBI history, nobody knows who he was? This is the true story of the man in room 1046. And I promise you, the deeper we go, the stranger it gets. Room 1046, where answers vanish into darkness. Inside, nothing but stillness. Yet someone waited. A brass key, a number, 1046. Then a shadow fades, and the story begins. January 2nd, 1935. The hotel president in Kansas City, Missouri. It's a bitter winter evening when a man walks through the revolving doors and approaches the front desk. The clerk, Randolph Probst, remembers him clearly. Mid-30s, well-dressed in a dark suit and tie, carrying a single leather bag. But something was off. The man seemed nervous, agitated. He kept glancing over his shoulder at the lobby entrance as if expecting someone or afraid someone might follow him in. He checked in under the name Roland T. Owen from Los Angeles, room 1046, 4th floor. But here's where it gets strange. Over the next 3 days, hotel staff reported increasingly bizarre behavior. The night maid, Mary Soptic, knocked on his door around 10 p.m. that first night. The room was completely dark, not even the bathroom light on. When she asked if he needed towels, a man's voice from the darkness simply said, "No thank you." She noticed the door was unlocked, unusual but not unheard of. The next morning, January 3rd, the maid returned. This time, the door was locked from the inside, but when she used her master key, she found the room empty. The bed hadn't been slept in. The man's belongings were still there, but something chilled her to the bone. Hanging in the bathroom was a note, handwritten. It read, "Don, I will be back in Baton 15 minutes. Wait." Who was Don? The man had checked in alone. That afternoon, the telephone operator connected multiple calls to room 1046. Each time, a man's voice, presumably Roland Owen, answered. But here's what the operator heard. Heated arguments. A man's voice, then another man's voice. Sometimes a woman's voice. Words like "nobody" and "gone" were overheard. One call ended with what sounded like a struggle. When the maid came by that evening, the door was unlocked again. The room was dark again. But this time, she heard two voices inside. One was definitely the guest. The other, she couldn't tell. They seemed to be arguing in low, tense whispers. The guest asked her to leave the door unlocked. She did. January 4th, 1935, 7:30 a.m. The maid enters room 1046 for what should have been a routine cleaning. What she found would haunt Kansas City for decades. The man registered as Roland T. Owen was sprawled on the bathroom floor in a pool of blood. He was still alive. Barely. His skull had been fractured with a blunt object. His torso had been stabbed multiple times. His wrists showed defensive wounds. The room was covered in blood spatter. But the most disturbing detail? The telephone cord had been ripped from the wall. Someone had made sure he couldn't call for help. He was rushed to the hospital, but he never regained consciousness. He died that evening without ever speaking another word. The investigation began immediately, and what detectives found made no sense. The room showed signs of a violent struggle, but no one had heard anything. Not a scream, not a crash, nothing. The hotel registry showed Roland T. Owen from Los Angeles, but there was no such person. The address was fake. The signature appeared to be a pseudonym. His belongings revealed almost nothing. A hairbrush, a comb, some toiletries, and a few articles of clothing. No wallet, no identification, no money. But there were two items that didn't fit. A brand new, expensive necktie with the label still attached, and a tube of facial powder, women's makeup. Carved letters, Louis. Likely a name, Louis. Then the FBI got involved, and that's when things got really strange. Detectives released the victim's photograph to newspapers across the country, hoping someone would identify him. And someone did. A woman named Ruby Ogletree from Birmingham, Alabama, contacted police. She said the man was her son, Artemis Ogletree. He'd left home weeks earlier, saying he had a job opportunity in Cairo, Illinois. But when Ruby came to identify the body, she seemed uncertain. She said it looked like her son, but something was different. She couldn't explain what. Then came the bombshell. When investigators checked Artemis Ogletree's background, they found he had no connection to Los Angeles, had never used the name Roland T. Owen, and had no reason to be in Kansas City. Even stranger? Artemis had recently received several mysterious letters postmarked from Cairo, Illinois, signed by someone named Don. Don. The same name from the note in room 1046. Detectives tracked down witnesses who had seen Artemis in the days before his death. Multiple people reported seeing him with a well-dressed man and an attractive woman, both described as appearing nervous and watchful. One witness said they overheard Artemis arguing with this man at a bus station, saying he wanted out of something. The FBI theorized Artemis had been lured into some kind of scheme, possibly counterfeiting or organized crime, and when he tried to back out, he was eliminated. But here's what they could never explain. Why did he spend 3 days locked in that room? Why did he leave the door unlocked twice as if expecting someone? Who were the voices the hotel staff heard? Why did the killer torture him but leave no evidence behind? And most haunting of all, if Artemis knew he was in danger, why didn't he try to escape? The case of room 1046 was never solved. Despite thousands of tips, FBI involvement, and nationwide publicity, no one was ever arrested. The identity of Don remains unknown. The woman seen with Artemis was never found. Some believe Artemis was a small-time criminal who got in over his head. Others think he was an innocent man caught in a conspiracy he didn't understand. But there's one detail that keeps me awake at night. When investigators examined the room more carefully, they found something they'd initially missed. Scratched into the wooden frame of the bathroom door, where Artemis had been found dying, were 4 letters. A name? A place? A dying message? We'll never know. Room 1046 at the Hotel President still exists, though the hotel was renovated long ago. Some guests report strange sounds at night, whispered arguments, footsteps when no one's there. The ghost of Artemis Ogletree, perhaps, still waiting in the darkness, still trying to tell us what happened. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe. And remember, sometimes the scariest mysteries are the ones that are never solved.